Welcome the anointed ones. Handle with reverence, or don't handle at all. That's not a suggestion. That's a warning. Because when it comes to a chosen one, access is not entitlement. It's a test. And what most people don't realize is that failure comes with consequences. You don't get to mistreat a divine assignment and walk away blessed. That's not how spiritual laws work. Let's start with a fact. Research shows that human energy is measurable, and certain individuals naturally emit stronger electromagnetic fields from the heart. Translation? Some people's presence literally shifts the room, not metaphorically, literally. And you, yes you, are one of them. But here's the twist. People think they're being casual around you, laughing at your depth, mocking your path, overstepping your boundaries like they're walking into a backyard barbecue. Big mistake, huge, because what they're actually doing is mishandling sacred ground. See, you're not just a nice person. You're not different. You are divinely coded, spiritually backed, and energetically guarded. And every time someone steps into your life, it's like being given a temporary visa to a higher realm, one that most can't navigate without revealing their inner fraudulence. Oh, and don't worry, we will be petty for a second. Because some folks had a front row seat to greatness and chose to throw popcorn at the stage instead. They didn't realize they were in the presence of someone heaven put on earth to shift timelines, not entertain egos. So, today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're breaking down why being around you is a privilege, not a right. Why mishandling you comes with divine receipts. And why, from this point forward, they better be careful. Because your presence is no longer up for misuse. Let's get into it. Number 1. Your energy isn't just rare. It's a divine frequency that recalibrates entire rooms. Most people don't realize what actually happens when you walk into a room. It's not just someone entering. It's a complete energetic shift. Your presence alone can make people sit up straighter, rethink their words, or suddenly feel exposed and they won't even know why. It's not because you said anything. It's not your clothes. It's not even your facial expression. It's the frequency you carry. The one you didn't buy or fake or borrow. It was born into you and refined through everything you've survived. Some people can enter a room and disappear in the background. You're undeniable, even when you're not trying. That's not ego. That's the aftershock of alignment. Your energy disrupts what's fake, unsettles what's dark, and calls out what's hidden. And whether they admit it or not, everyone around you feels it. They might say you make them uncomfortable, but what they're really feeling is the vibration of truth brushing up against their denial. You stir things in people they don't want to look at. Old wounds, false identities, unhealed trauma. Your energy doesn't give those things a place to hide. That's why some people either cling to you like you're a lifeline or turn on you like you're a threat. Because in your presence, everything gets clearer, and not everyone wants clarity. The problem is people assume power means volume. They expect it to be loud, boastful, theatrical. But you're a walking contradiction to that idea. You walk in quietly and still take up spiritual space. You don't need to announce yourself. Your aura does the talking. And the ones who are spiritually sensitive, they can feel it before you even speak. You're not just high energy. You're calibrated to a frequency that's so rare, it makes chaos reorganize itself. You don't just light up the room, you redefine it. And that's why being around you isn't just casual, it's transformational, whether they're ready or not. Number 2. You're the proof that God still walks among men, and that terrifies the pretenders. You're not just someone who went through hard things and came out stronger. You're walking proof that divine power still shows up in human form. That's why people either admire you deeply or feel strangely threatened by you. You weren't just built different. You were chosen different. And the fact that you're still standing, still glowing, still thinking clearly after everything designed to destroy you, that alone makes people uncomfortable. Because you're the living, breathing evidence that their system of control, manipulation, and fake status doesn't actually work. Your existence exposes the illusion. You didn't climb to your level through connections, fame, or pretending to be someone else. You got there through alignment, obedience to inner truth, and the kind of pain that would have crushed most people. That's why your light isn't flattering. It's confronting. It doesn't comfort everyone. It confronts what they've been running from. You don't have to say, I'm powerful. Your life says it for you. Every healed scar, every silent victory, every time you chose peace over revenge, that's what makes you sacred, not soft sacred. Because real strength isn't noise. Real power is what doesn't collapse under pressure. And you didn't just survive pressure, you became pressure. The real reason some people mistreat or misunderstand you is because they were never prepared to meet someone who carries the presence of God without a title, a robe, or a pulpit. They were taught to expect power to come with theatrics, performance, or validation. But you don't need any of that. You are the evidence. Your authenticity reveals how much pretending other people are doing. And when they see you living out what they only preach, or walking in peace they can't buy, something inside them starts to break. That's why they stare. That's why they copy. That's why they compete. Because deep down, they know. You didn't just survive, you were sent. And what's sent can't be stopped. Number 3, access to you is a spiritual assignment, not a social privilege. Being around you isn't something people are automatically entitled to. It's not just luck or coincidence when someone gets close to you. It's spiritual permission. Because you're not just another face in the crowd, you're a walking assignment. Your life has a frequency that draws people in for a reason. But what most don't understand is that access to you is not about friendship or chemistry. It's about alignment and readiness. And if someone isn't spiritually or emotionally ready, being around you will expose every crack in their foundation. You're not cold or unapproachable. You're selective because you have to be. You've seen what happens when you allow the wrong people into your energy. They drain you, confuse you, and project their wounds onto you. And the truth is, some people didn't even come to love you. They came to feed off you. Your light, your clarity, your calm. But what they forget is that being close to a chosen one comes with consequences. It either wakes people up or reveals how far they've strayed from their own truth. Some folks were given access to you not as a reward, but as a test, to see how they'd handle divine presence in a human form. Would they honor it, respect it, learn from it? Or would they fumble it with ego, manipulation, and disrespect? A lot of people failed that test, and they're still paying for it. Because when you mishandle what God gave you, there's always a return. You don't chase people because your presence alone is the blessing. You don't beg to be seen because your energy speaks louder than words ever could. The right ones recognize it. The wrong ones lose it. And even if they don't admit it, they know they lost something sacred when they lost access to you. That's why moving forward, you don't need to explain your standards. You are the standard. And being around you is not just a moment, it's an opportunity for elevation. The ones who take it seriously, their lives change. The ones who don't, they disappear into their own patterns. Either way, the access won't be wasted again. Number 4. You don't speak power, you embody it without a word. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. Your energy speaks long before your mouth ever does. You walk into a space and the atmosphere adjusts. People pause mid-sentence, some feel unsettled, others feel inspired, and no one can quite explain what just shifted. But something did. That's the kind of power you carry. Not the loud, attention-seeking kind, but the silent, undeniable kind that's deeply rooted in spiritual authority. You were never made for the spotlight because you are the light. You don't need validation, applause, or a stage to be impactful. Your presence alone disrupts what's false and awakens what's real. People may not understand why they feel nervous around you or why they suddenly feel the urge to confess, shift, or avoid you altogether. But it's because your spirit registers as truth, and truth always shakes things up. What sets you apart is that you don't need to advertise your worth. You don't walk into rooms with ego. You walk in with alignment, and alignment is louder than any speech. That's why those who rely on manipulation, performance, and pretense feel off balance around you. Because your very existence calls out their act without you ever saying a word. You're not trying to dominate, you're not trying to impress, you're just being. But that being is deeply divine. It's ancient, wise, and rooted in something most people have never encountered in their entire lives. And when something real shows up in a world addicted to the fake, it causes discomfort, even chaos. That's why people misunderstand you. That's why some are obsessed with you. And that's why others try to compete with you when there's nothing to compete with. The truth is, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to remind. Remind people of what's authentic. Remind them of what they buried. Remind them of the power that still exists in purity, silence, and spiritual substance. And without even trying, you do exactly that. Every single day. Number 5, you're not intimidating. They're just unfamiliar with unshakable authenticity. You've probably heard it before. You're intimidating, but the truth is, you're not. What people are actually reacting to isn't fear, it's unfamiliarity. They're not used to someone like you, someone who walks in complete ownership of their truth without needing permission. You don't shrink. You don't fake humility. You don't water yourself down to make others feel comfortable. And that kind of presence feels dangerous to those who rely on masks to move through life. You don't play roles. You don't morph into whatever the room expects. You show up as you are, flaws, fire, and all. You're not rude, but you're not fake polite either. You speak when it's needed, you're silent when it's wise, and you move with a clarity that people can't manipulate. And for some, that's terrifying. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your authenticity reveals just how much they've been pretending. You don't chase approval, and you don't live for applause. That alone makes people nervous. Because most people have built their identities around being liked. You've built yours around being aligned. And when someone's sense of self is built on external validation, being around someone who doesn't need it feels threatening, even if you haven't said a word. You see through things, through people, through the games. You can read the room without trying, and people feel that. They know you can't be easily lied to, flattered, or bought. That makes you unpredictable. And to the insecure, unpredictability feels like a threat. But let's be clear, you're not the problem. Your energy just breaks the illusion. And not everyone is ready for that kind of mirror. You don't walk with intimidation, you walk with certainty. You know who you are, you know who sent you, and you know you don't have to perform for access. So no, you're not intimidating. They're just not used to someone who doesn't need to be anyone else but themselves. Number 6. Your aura holds the codes their bloodline couldn't unlock. There's something in you that didn't start with you, and it won't end with you either. You carry a vibration, a knowing, a spiritual imprint that most people have never encountered before, even within their own bloodline. That's because your aura holds something ancient, something earned not just through your life, but through lifetimes of prayers, suffering, and unanswered cries for change. You're not just different, you're the manifestation of every closed door your ancestors tried to open. You walk into rooms and people feel it, even if they can't explain it. There's something about you that makes them pause, something powerful but not loud, mysterious but not fake. You didn't learn this energy. You inherited it on a soul level and then refined it through pain, isolation, and growth. You are the unlocked code that previous generations could never crack. This is why some people don't know how to act around you. One minute they're in awe, the next they're projecting their fears, insecurities, and competition onto you. Because your very existence whispers the truth. Evolution is real. You're the evidence that healing is possible, that strength can be soft, that you can be chosen without a title and powerful without control. You carry a spiritual intelligence that doesn't come from books, seminars, or social media reels. It's been downloaded into your being through hard-earned lessons, divine timing, and alignment. You say things without effort that shake people's souls. You bring peace into chaos without even trying. You break cycles in conversations that other families couldn't break in generations. Some people feel intimidated not because you're better, but because you carry something they've never seen, and something they should have been. You're not just a person to them. You're a reminder, a reflection of the greatness that's possible if they did the work. You're the blueprint they didn't know existed, a living prophecy in real time. And that's why they stare, envy, admire, or avoid. Because whether they admit it or not, you're walking proof that destiny can break bloodlines wide open. Number 7. The privilege of being around you comes with spiritual consequences. There's no such thing as a casual connection with you, because your presence carries spiritual weight. Whether people know it or not, being around you activates something in the unseen. You're not just a good person or a wise soul, you're spiritually assigned. So when someone comes into your life, it's not random, it's an appointment. And how they handle that appointment determines what happens next, not just in your life, but in theirs. You've probably noticed it already. The people who honored you, supported you, or helped you without agenda, their lives got lighter, their peace expanded, things began aligning for them. And those who disrespected you, tried to harm you, or played with your kindness, their lives took a turn. Not because you cursed them, but because they mishandled a blessing that was sent to help them grow. Your presence is medicine for some and a mirror for others. You're the type of soul that either heals people or exposes them. There's no in-between. And the ones who get triggered or hostile are often the ones who couldn't fake their way through your discernment. They weren't dealing with just you. They were dealing with your covering. And disrespecting you meant clashing with the very protection assigned to you. That's why some people's lives fall apart after doing you wrong. It's not karma in a petty sense. It's spiritual law. You're sent to elevate, to guide, to spark something deeper. So when someone chooses to lie on you, manipulate you, use you, or walk away from you with arrogance, they're not just losing a connection. They're triggering a spiritual consequence. This is why you no longer chase closure. You don't seek revenge. You just step back and let the divine accounting take over. Because heaven keeps records, and being around you is never meaningless. It's always either a blessing or a lesson. What they do with it is up to them, but the outcome always reflects their choice. Number 8, you don't shine for attention. You radiate because you're aligned. Your glow isn't something you picked up from a trend, a filter, or a motivational quote. It's not about how you dress, what you say, or how many followers you have. Your light is real because it was born in real darkness. You radiate the way you do because you survived what should have buried you, and instead of becoming bitter, you became aligned. Your energy is not hype, it's harmony. And harmony can't be faked. You've been through storms that stripped you of everything. People left, support vanished, your name was dragged. You faced battles behind closed doors that would have broken most. But you didn't just survive. You listened. You realigned. You surrendered to the process. And that's why now, when you walk into a room, people feel something they can't explain. It's not attitude. It's authority, not pride, but peace that was paid for in pain. You're not performing for attention. You're not radiating for applause. You're not chasing recognition. What people see is the result of deep internal work. You're in tune with something higher, and that alignment spills out of you without effort. That's what people feel. That's why they watch you. That's why some try to imitate your energy but fall short, because what you carry can't be copied. It's the result of healing, obedience, and relentless faith. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for others. They keep trying to compete with your light by doing more, posting more, saying more, but it never works. Because they're focused on doing, and your power comes from being. You're not magnetic because you're loud, you're magnetic because you're centered. And in a world addicted to noise, alignment feels like a threat. That's why some people get confused or even irritated by you. They can't find the switch you flip to shine like that. They don't understand it because they're looking for strategy, and what you carry is spiritual. You don't shine to be seen. You shine because you survived, healed, and aligned. That glow is your evidence, and it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. Number 9, your boundaries are holy, not personal. You've reached a point where your boundaries aren't about ego, they're about obedience. You don't distance yourself from people to prove a point or be petty. You step back because something within you knows when the energy isn't right, when the intentions are off, or when someone has started to treat your presence like it's disposable. And when that happens, you don't argue, you don't explain, you move, because your boundaries are not just for your protection, they're sacred. Being close to you isn't just a relationship, it's a responsibility. You carry something divine, something weighty. When people misuse that, whether through manipulation, deceit, or neglect, it triggers a spiritual correction that they never see coming. You were sent as a blessing, and when people mishandle blessings, heaven notices. That's why your absence hits different. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual. You've learned that your presence shifts things. It brings clarity, peace, healing, and sometimes conviction. So when you step back, that absence exposes things. It gives people room to see themselves without your covering. It forces reflection. And sometimes the silence you leave behind speaks louder than anything you could have said. People often think they'll have more time with you, that they can take you for granted and come back when it suits them. But when you walk away, it's not out of pride. It's out of purpose. Because your spirit knows when grace has been misused one too many times. And when that line is crossed, your distance becomes a divine message. You had something rare and you misused it. You're not cruel. You're clear. Your boundaries are not walls. They're filters. And the ones who truly value you don't get offended by them. They get refined by them. But for those who thought they could mishandle you without consequences, your departure becomes the start of their spiritual reckoning. Because you were never just someone to talk to. You were someone heaven trusted them with. And losing you? That's not just loss. That's a lesson. Number 10. Your presence triggers what they buried. You walk into a space and without saying a word, things start surfacing in people. Not because you're doing anything specific, but because of what you are. Your presence naturally pulls things to the surface that others have spent years avoiding, denying, or burying. Unhealed trauma, buried shame, secret jealousy, hidden pain, all of it begins to vibrate when you show up because your energy doesn't allow pretense to sit comfortably. You are like a spiritual alarm clock. People may not even understand why they suddenly feel uneasy or reactive around you. But it's not your tone, your vibe, or your words. It's what you represent, a confrontation with their own unresolved selves. You awaken what they thought was buried for good. And instead of facing it, many people choose the easier path, project it onto you. They'll call you too much, intense, difficult, or arrogant. Not because you are, but because those labels help them avoid the real issue, the inner war they've been avoiding. Being near you forces them to feel again, to think, to question their own habits, their choices, their values. And for people who are committed to their own illusions, that kind of soul-level truth feels threatening. You've probably noticed how people either open up deeply around you or completely shut down. That's not random, that's spiritual. You activate people. You hold space without even trying. But when someone isn't ready to confront the version of themselves they see in your mirror, they'll choose sabotage over transformation. They'll pull away, twist the narrative, or paint you as the problem, not realizing it was never about you. It was about them. You don't trigger people because you're wrong. You trigger them because you're real. And realness makes buried things rise. So don't take it personal when they ghost, gossip, or grow cold. They're not afraid of your presence. They're afraid of what your presence forces them to finally face. Number 11. People don't just envy you. They want to be you without paying the price you paid. People see the light in you and assume it's easy. They admire your strength, your clarity, your peace, and in their minds they think, I want that too. But what they don't realize is that this light came with a heavy cost. You didn't just wake up one day radiating purpose and resilience. You had to earn every ounce of it through seasons most people would have never survived. You were forged, not favored, built in isolation, refined in betrayal, and shaped through silent battles no one clapped for. They want your grace, but they don't want the nights you cried yourself to sleep questioning if you'd ever make it out. They want your wisdom, but not the losses that broke you down and forced you to rebuild from scratch. They want your discernment, but not the years you spent second-guessing your worth after being lied to, used, or abandoned. They see your presence, but they don't see the process. That's where the envy really comes from. They believe you were given something, when in reality you had to survive something, and not just once, over and over again. Every part of you that now seems radiant had to be reclaimed from some kind of pain. And they don't understand that. They just want the glow without the growing pains. You walk in strength because you've been weak before and refuse to stay there. You're compassionate because you know what it's like to be overlooked. You're discerning because you've been deceived. You're grounded because you've been through storms that almost buried you alive. That's the truth behind your presence. It's not magic. It's mastery. Pain purified. So when people envy you, or try to copy you, or compete with your energy, they're missing the point entirely. You're not the result of aesthetics. You're the result of endurance. What they see is beautiful now, but it was built from ashes. You didn't just arrive, you were reborn, and every step of that journey still lives in your glow. Number 12. You are the answer to a prayer they didn't deserve. Some people prayed for something real. They begged for truth, for love, for healing, for someone who wouldn't lie to them, leave them, or use them. They cried out for light in the middle of their chaos, and heaven answered. The answer wasn't loud. It didn't come wrapped in status or flash. It came in you, pure, powerful, deeply intentional. And they got exactly what they asked for, but didn't know how to receive it. You didn't show up as a test, you showed up as help. You offered presence, insight, loyalty, and love that couldn't be faked. But instead of recognizing the blessing, they picked it apart. They projected. They doubted you, or worse, they tried to control or diminish you. Why? Because deep down they weren't ready. They asked for you from a place of desperation, not alignment. And when you showed up, their ego mistook your value for something familiar, something they could mishandle and keep access to. The truth is, some people want blessings but don't want the responsibility that comes with them. They want someone sacred, but they still move with selfishness. They want someone powerful, but they still operate in control and fear. You came into their life as an answer, but they treated you like an option. And that's where they failed. Your presence did more than love them. It exposed them. It revealed how far they were from the thing they said they were ready for. You didn't show up to be worshipped, you came to elevate. And instead of rising with you, they chose to run, sabotage, or cling to the comfort of dysfunction. But here's the part they didn't expect. Once you're gone, there's no replacement. Not because you're arrogant, but because you were assigned. And when someone misuses an assignment, it leaves a void that nothing else can fill. You were the answer to a prayer, but they only realize that after the silence sets in, and by then, the door is closed, because God doesn't keep sending the same blessing to people who prove they can't handle it. Number 13. You don't need validation. The universe already confirms you through synchronicities. You've reached a level where you don't chase validation anymore, because you've already seen what happens when you move in alignment. The universe confirms who you are without you needing to convince anyone. Every time someone doubts you, undermines you, or tries to make you question your path, something undeniable happens. The right door opens, a miracle unfolds, a situation turns in your favor, and you didn't have to manipulate, beg, or explain a thing. That's not luck. That's alignment. You've probably noticed how strange coincidences follow you. You think of something, and the confirmation appears. You feel a shift coming, and out of nowhere, a breakthrough lands in your lap. You're protected in moments you didn't even know danger was near. That's because you're not moving with logic alone. You're moving with divine precision. You don't just believe in purpose, you are in purpose. And purpose makes the universe respond. This is what separates you from the crowd. They seek approval. You seek truth. They ask, will people accept me? You ask, am I aligned with what's real? And because of that, you don't need people to clap for you in order to know you're doing well. Your confirmation comes from movement, from ease, from divine timing that keeps showing up for you, even when you're not looking. Some people won't get it. They'll think your blessings came out of nowhere. They'll try to downplay your path because they didn't see the blueprint. But what they miss is that your results are not about being seen. They're about being sent. Your life bends in your favor because you're walking in sync with something far greater than opinion or approval. So when someone tries to make you second-guess yourself, you don't argue anymore. You just watch how life keeps confirming what they tried to deny. You don't need their green light. you've already got the signal from the source. And that signal never fails. Number 14. You're not just chosen. You're guarded, watched, and backed by realms they can't access. There's a reason every weapon formed against you ends up backfiring. Every lie told, every plan made behind your back, every attempt to tear you down, it all crumbles. Not because you fight dirty, or because you play the victim, but because you are not alone. You're not just chosen. You're divinely covered. You walk with protection that isn't visible to the human eye, but its effects are undeniable. And the people who try to come against you never seem to understand that until it's too late. What they don't realize is that you're spiritually backed in ways that defy logic. You're surrounded by a force field of favor, discernment, and divine surveillance. Heaven has eyes on you. Your ancestors are watching. Your angels are active. Every time someone moves with malice toward you, they're not just picking a fight with a person. They're stepping into a realm they're not prepared for. And in that realm, intention is everything. Motives matter. And what they thought would go unnoticed is recorded in full detail. This is why you don't have to defend yourself the way others do. Your silence isn't weakness, it's awareness. You already know how it ends. You've seen people try to bury you, and yet your name still gets mentioned in rooms you've never entered. You've been slandered, and still you're protected. You've been targeted, but the harm never fully lands. That's not coincidence, that's covenant. People think they can play with your energy like it's disposable. They think they can attack you, steal from you, lie on you, and walk away unchanged. But what they don't see is the spiritual receipt printing behind the scenes. Because harming you is not harmless. It's a transaction with real cost. And by the time the consequences hit, there's no refund, no undo button, just the undeniable truth. They came for someone who was never unguarded. Your presence is sacred, your mission is divine, and those who try to fight you aren't just fighting you. They're clashing with realms they'll never be allowed to enter. That's why betrayal always fails. And that's why your rise can't be stopped. You are not to be approached casually, not to be mishandled, overlooked, or treated like you're ordinary, because you never were. Everything about you, from your presence to your silence, from your glow to your discernment, from your boundaries to your breakthroughs, is divinely engineered. You were assigned, not assembled. Sent, not shaped by the world. And the moment people come into contact with you, they're entering spiritual territory, whether they realize it or not. You don't just carry light, you carry lineage. You are the manifestation of ancestral prayers, divine blueprints, and generational shifts. Your energy cannot be faked, replicated, or replaced. That's why some adore you, some envy you, and some fear you. Because what you carry exposes, awakens, and reorders everything around you. Your life is proof that spiritual authority walks in human form. That presence doesn't need permission. That alignment is louder than applause. And that protection isn't always visible, but it's very real. That's why no betrayal has worked. That's why no lie has stuck. That's why your name still rises after every attempt to bury it. Let this be the final reminder. Being around you is not a favor you owe them. It's a privilege they were granted. One that comes with responsibility, one that comes with spiritual weight. And for those who handle it with ego, deceit, or carelessness, the consequences will not just be emotional, they'll be cosmic. From this moment forward, stand firm in the knowing that your presence is sacred. You are not here to fit in, to shrink, or to beg for recognition. You are the recognition. A walking confirmation of what divine alignment looks like when it touches earth. They better be careful with you, because the next time they cross your path, they'll either rise with reverence or fall under the weight of what they never truly honored. And that is the final word. If this message stirred something in you, if it confirmed what you've always known deep down, that you are chosen, protected, and undeniably powerful, then don't keep that energy to yourself. Subscribe to the channel right now and join a community of awakened souls walking in truth, purpose, and divine power. Like this video to push it through the algorithm, because someone else out there desperately needs to hear what you just received. Comment below and let me know which part hit you the hardest. Your voice matters, and your presence here is no accident. And share this with someone who's been walking blind to their own light. Sometimes all it takes is one reminder to change everything. You're not just watching content, you're aligning with confirmation. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay in your power. More is coming, and it's tailored for the real ones. God bless you.